welcome to my channel. This is the first video after a 4-month break or something, and today's video will be all about this cute little cat. This video will be part 1 of 2 parts, because if I would create it in one video, it would take hours. And I'm also going to speed up the video, because I'm a really slow drawer. And if I was going to use it in like the normal speed, it would be a video that's taking 4 hours. I thought that was a little bit too long. So in this video, I'm going to draw a really beautiful close-up of a cat. This cat, I don't think it's like all natural. Probably the photographer used a little Photoshop because the eyes are really blue, but I really like the photo. I will add a link in the description box because it's just a royalty-free photo from, I think it was Pastels. So I'm going to do a pastel drawing today, and I'm using gray Pastelmat in size 24 by 15. So I just used like the smaller or the mid-size block of paper and just cut one paper in half. So that's the 12 by 24 centimeters block. So I always start with the eyes, and I think the eyes are the most important part of a portrait, and especially when you're creating portraits of real animals, like as a commission, for instance. I think it's super important that you really pay attention to the eyes. The eyes are just, that is the part that really is going to make a difference between just a animal or the animal. And I think the eyes are just the most important. So I will always pay a lot of attention to the eyes. And when I have 1 or 2 eyes ready, I'll go ahead and work on the fur. So I'm using soft pastel sticks and pastel pencils today. And I use literally every pastel pencil brand that there is. So you will see me use Stabilo, Carbonatello, Caran Dash, Derwent, Conte à Paris, Faber Castell, I think I forget one, but we'll see. And to blend, I use a stump. I also use a Q-tip. I use my fingers, and I use my favorite red handle thingy made by PanPastel, which is one of my favorite blending tools. And you will see me use bit pastel pencils mostly when I'm going into the real detailed work. I think the details are best. You can draw in better details when you're using like a more hard pencil or a more sturdy pencil. And I feel like Derwent and Caran are really soft, which is great because they blend like a charm. But they are a little bit difficult, I think, to use for the details. And especially for the people that are maybe beginning with pastels and you're going for pastel pencils, which I would really recommend. I would recommend to go with Stabilo, Carbonatello, and just get the whole set, because that is like the best of both worlds, I think. So they're really, they come to good use when you're going for details, but they're also quite soft, so they are very easy blendable. So if you're wondering what you, maybe you're looking at this video and you're watching the video and you're thinking, oh, I want to start using pastels, but I don't know where to start. I would recommend to use pencils at first. And that is just because pencils are something that we're really used to use. And we've all been drawing with colored pencil. It's in school, so it's a very familiar thing. And I think that when working with pastels the first couple of times, it's a lot of fun to do these close-ups because they're quite easy to do, I think. You can really zoom in like using Photoshop or something if you're using a good quality photo, and really get into those details. So the direction of the fur and what does an eyeball look like, because it's just, it isn't like, it isn't a ball. It is, but it isn't. And I think that for pictures like that or drawings like that, pencils are really, really nice to use. So in the eye, I think I'm using maybe 6 or 7 shades. It's for me, it's always a little bit difficult to find out what the best color is. I know some people are like natural and just know, but I'm not that good at deciding on what colors I see, so I use Photoshop. So the eyedropper tool is really, really easy to use, because you can just point the eyedropper tool on some part in your photo and just decide on what color to use. And I would definitely recommend to color swatch your pencils or whatever medium you're using. Especially when you're using like the eyedropper tool in Photoshop, it's super easy to determine the color and then just get your swatches out and decide on what color suits best or matches the eyedropper. So now that I have like a solid base color, I'm just adding some details to create the like the ball effect. If I would just use like one color, it would be just it wouldn't be a ball. So when you're starting out, make sure you use different shades and see what the effect is, because if you're using solid colors, your drawing will look really almost cartoony, like almost like a real drawing, and that's perfectly fine if that is what you're going for. But I guess if you're watching this video, you are going for realism. So make sure to practice with different shades and different hues and different values. So now I'm marking in the darker spots of the fur. In this part, it's also really important to look at the direction of the fur. You would think that if because it's a base layer, it's not that important, and it is. So it's okay if you mess it up a little bit. I know I'm not good at getting it right at once, so I do correct some parts of the fur, but it is helpful if you're marking, if you mark in like the clumps of fur, just so you know where to go. And this is something that you get better at this the more you create drawings. It's just a feeling that you need to have in your hand. It sounds a little, maybe sounds a little bit weird, but it's like riding a bicycle. It's like when you know how to ride a bicycle, you just sit on it and you ride without thinking. And that's just the same with the fur direction. If you've drawn enough cats and dogs and animals, you will know where the direction of the fur is, or where the fur goes. So as you can see, I'm not using black. I do use a little bit of black, but most of the darker spots I'm marking in with a dark gray color. It's quite difficult to get the color right because I'm working on a light gray Pastelmat. So like the warm grays are really warm. So I messed that up a couple of times. I thought I had a cool gray, but then it ended up being a really warm gray, so I needed to correct some parts. So now I'm just blocking in the really light parts of the fur. And this is the handle that I was talking about. It's like it's a blending tool that comes with the PanPastels, and I'm so happy with this tool. It feels like a makeup applicator. I think it actually is, but it works really good. And I'm using some soft pastels. You saw me using like the really tiny piece. That is a Rembrandt pastel. soft pastel stick, and the bigger ones are the Unison, and I'm also using some Sennelier. So I actually painted this cat twice, because the first time that I painted this the cat, I found out that the software that I was using to capture my webcam wasn't working, and I found out after like 8 hours of filming. But I started out with with the dark gray, almost black pastel mat, and I thought it was a good idea to do this because like the undertone of the fur of this cat is black, but I found it very, very difficult to get the light areas right. So when I found out that I needed to start over, I decided right away to use a different color of pastel mat, and I think it's actually really, really good looking. I like the light color of the pastel mat, especially in combination with the eye of the cat, and I think it's really doing justice to the fur. So I make sure whenever I add details, I give a good rub on the pastel that is already there, because rubbing in the pastel makes it easier for the second or for the next layer to grab onto the paper. And when I want to keep some of the details, like the strokes of the pencil, I most of the time use my fingers, and if I know I need to give it a good rub, I'm using the PanPastel, Applicator, or a stump. So for the shading of the white areas, I'm using a off-white grayish bit pencil. And like I said, I really like to use bit because it's a little bit more hard, or maybe a little bit more sturdy, which makes it a really good pencil to use for details. And using different shades of white or grayish tones creates a really nice depth. And if you would use like, for instance, only white or only black, it would be a really flat portrait, and it wouldn't look realistic. You create depth by using different shades and different hues. So I'm really looking at the reference photo now because I need to know where the details are. I love getting the details in because that is a phase of the painting that is really rewarding. After you finish the underpainting and the midtones, and you start using highlights and adding darker details, that is when the painting really comes to life. So that is really my favorite part of the whole painting. So this is actually one of the first times that I create a drawing starting on the left side, working my way to the right. I usually start with the eyes and then just go wherever I want to draw, but it's like a super inefficient way of drawing because I'm always just everywhere on the page and it just isn't working. So a little more pragmatic approach would be best, and I thought I was something that I really needed to do when I start filming my drawings, because otherwise it would be one chaotic mess. So now I'm using the applicator again. One thing that you need to keep in mind using the applicator is that there will be a lot of pastel that is going to get stuck on the applicator. And if you're going from, so to say, gray to white or something, you will definitely get gray on your white pastels. So make sure to use maybe like 2 applicators or something. I always use 2, one for the dark colors, one for the light colors. And now I'm really getting into those details. So you see like the light reflection in the eyes. It's most of the time it's like fluid in the eyes, or really the reflection of light. And that is something that creates the liveliness in your photo or in your drawing, that is going to make the painting look really realistic. So this is actually, I think, the first time that I'm using white. I do use white, of course, but really only for the highlights. So whenever I think I've made a little mistake, I just use my stump to rub in the pastel and just correct it. And it's not about getting every single hair in the right direction on the right spot. It's just looking at the picture, deciding where the hair goes, if it goes up, if it goes above the eye, or just the direction, and then adding clumps of fur. So it does look like I'm adding every little hair, but one pencil stroke. So you see me going back and forth with different pencils now. So I'm using the white bit pencil because it's a little bit more hard, and also a white Caran pencil. So I would recommend the Caran pencils as well because they have 3 or maybe even 4 shades of white. So a greenish one, a pink one, a more off-white, maybe eggshell kind of color, and also a really white one. So I use them all in my paintings, especially because they differ from each other. So you will see that it's easier to cover a part of the drawing where there is already a lot of pastel when you're using a softer pastel pencil. But if you're going for the really detailed part, so the reflection of the eye or like the little tiny strokes under the eye, you need a harder pencil because you can really sharpen the point. And the softer pencils are way more difficult to sharpen. So I will add my favorite sharpeners in the description box. Although I must say that during this drawing, so many pencils broke. And it's just one of those days, I think. But it's also something that you need to accept when you're coloring with pastel pencils, because they are just a pain in the, when it comes to sharpening. It's difficult to sharpen these. And I know there are a lot of pencil artists that use a knife or like the small sharpeners that you use by hand. But I feel like it's just, everything is just breaking the points. So that is something I just need to accept. But I love it as a medium, so it's okay. So you see when I'm using the Caran it's really adding more color to the drawing, and I think that is one of the things that I really like about these pencils. But they are expensive, so. As I said, it's really, if you're just starting out with pastel and you want to try pastel pencils, just get the Carbotello set, because you will get a feeling of how the pencil works, and you can just experiment with them. And first, just you need to experience if it's something for you, and you need to figure out if it's something that you like. And if you're straight ahead dive in like the most expensive pencils, I wouldn't recommend that. But that's totally up to you. So now for the last part of the first part of this video, I'm creating the little nose. It's super cute. And I always really like the nose of the cats because they are so cute. They're little tiny pink rose noses. And it's just fun. You know, with dogs, it's a little bit more challenging because they always have these blue and ultramarine tones in them. And I think that's quite challenging. But the nose of a cat is more brownish and pink. And it's just a little bit easier because there is a little less texture in the nose as well. So they're just a little bit easier to create. And I'm just using a little bit of pink, a little bit of purple, and some black to add the shading. So if you haven't subscribed yet and you'd love to see the next part of this video in the sequel of the cat, make sure to subscribe to my channel. And if you like the video, please consider a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. If you have any questions, or maybe something in the video wasn't as clear as I thought, or you're a beginner and want to learn something, just let me know. Write it in the comments section. I would love to read them and to respond to them. And I will make sure to link all the products that I've used in the description box. These are affiliate links, so if you use them, I receive a small commission or a small amount of money. But that doesn't mean that you pay more. You pay exactly the same. But it helps support my channel, so thank you. If you have any suggestions on the videos, or there is something that you would really like to learn, or a subject or a medium, just let me know in the comment section. I'll let you know if I can do it. And for now, I'm just very thankful that you've watched the video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope to see you very soon. Have a nice day.